In this video, I'm going to be showing you how you can add shading to your three-dimensional shapes to show light and shadow and add some more realism to your artwork. So, I've already drawn my forms. If you are still working on drawing forms, I have another video about drawing three-dimensional shapes that can help you with getting those. This video is going with the assumption that you already know how to draw those and you're trying to take a next step in adding shading to three-dimensional shapes. So I've gone ahead and I've drawn a line behind these to simulate the surface, like the table or ground that they're standing on. The other thing I'm going to put in here that isn't necessary, but just for the purposes of us understanding or thinking about what's going on, I'm drawing a sun in my corner. And the reason for that is that we need to think about where the light is coming from in this picture. So my light is coming from the left side. The reason that is important is that then we can think about how that light is going to hit things and what that's going to do to the things that we are looking at. So for example, because my light is coming this way, the top of this is going to be getting the most light. So the top of this and then this side here, if this was clear. So this side and the top are going to get the most light. This side that's facing me is going to get a little bit of light, but not nearly as much as the top or that left side. So I'm trying to use the side of my pencil and I'm coloring lightly. Another thing you can do is kind of smudge it. You can use a piece of paper and you can kind of rub it. But that side's going to be a little bit darker than my top. And then this side that's the farthest away is going to be my darkest side. So cubes and rectangular prisms are going to be your easiest things to kind of deal with because you can clearly distinguish one side from the other. The other thing we're going to do here is we need to think about what the shadow is going to do, because this light that's coming here is going to be blocked by that. So for my shadow on my table, my shadow's going that way, same direction as my light. And my shadow is just a bad copy, a scribble of a square. Same thing's going to happen here. My light's still coming from there, so this side is going to be, this side and my top are going to be lightest. So this side is going to be lighter than my right side. One thing you can do, if you do want to add some shading to this, if you were thinking, well, this side I know is going to be light, so I could try to go even lighter with this one. And if I have trouble doing that, then I can go over it a little bit with an eraser, just so it's not as white as my paper. Or it might be a time then when I need to make this side a little darker. And you can also do some of both. But the more we can tell where one side stops and the next one starts, the more realistic it's going to be. And same with our square, our rectangle shadow is going to be a rectangle and it's going to go to the left. And notice how I'm not outlining that. I want it to be imperfect. I don't want it to look like it's just a rectangle laying on the ground. I want it to look kind of imperfect. That's going to make it more convincing. Alright, when we get to this one, As far as shading goes, the side I can't see is going to be my lightest. This side, of course, is going to be my darkest. But what confuses a lot of folks when they're shading like a tent shape or a rectangular prism shape is that you're seeing this big triangle and you're thinking, ooh, it's a triangular shape. I've got to draw it like a triangle. Well, it depends on where that light is. If my light was over here, it might give me a triangle shadow. But since my light's coming across, it's going to take this rectangle shape, and that's going to be my shadow. So my shadow, because it's coming from that side, is going to imitate this rectangular, this four-sided shape there. So you got to think about where that light's coming from. But on our pyramid has three. Our pyramid has three-sided shapes on all sides. So its shadow is going to be a triangle. So if you were thinking that your triangular prism should have a triangular shadow, maybe you were just trying to jump ahead and give a shadow to a pyramid. Alright, round shapes get a little trickier. That's why I save those for later. So round shapes aren't going to be solid like that. They have to get gradually more darker. So what I'll do sometimes is I'll start with my darkest side and I'll try to slowly get lighter as I go across. And sometimes that means you've got to go back and erase a little bit. So one of the reasons I like to tell people that pencils have erasers on one end and a pencil on the other is that you're going to use, the more you draw, the more you're going to use both ends of that. They have two for a reason. You need to use both of those tools. You're going to probably erase more than you draw sometimes, and that's okay. But same with this, my shadow is going to be a triangle. And that shadow is going to wrap a little bit around. This one's kind of a mix, so I'm going to have a little bit of light hitting the top, but not much. Kind of like these two. And same thing's going to happen. I'm going to be in darkness on this side that's farthest away from the light. And I'm going to slowly try to make that lighter as we go across. And I'm making that look easy, but that's because I've done this a lot. So it's going to take you more practice. That's all right. And what is our shadow going to be here? If you were thinking it's going to be like a rectangle, you are correct, because think about that. We started that with an oval, but if you hold a round shape, if you hold a cup in front of you and you don't look at the top or bottom of it, it looks more rectangular if you're looking at a can of something. I'm going to erase that. That's a little too tall. There we go. That's a little better. Alright. Same thing with these. Trick with these is that my light is going to go rounded. So And I think that domes are possibly even trickier to do than a sphere, just because you're thinking about the roundness of the top, but you're also thinking about how round that bottom is. So just because it's cut in half, it's like a sphere cut in half, you're not getting half the work. You're almost getting like twice the effort of it. Clean up my edges a little. And what's our shadow going to look like? Yeah, it's going to be that same kind of half circle kind of shape. And I talked about this one in my other video on this, but our sphere, to help it look perfectly round and less like a circle, we want one side to be as dark as we can go, and then we want to slowly get lighter, meaning adding less pressure as we go across. And what I'll often do to aid myself in that is I'll turn my paper, just like when I'm cutting. I'll turn my paper when I'm shading too, and I think it helps in both cases. And sometimes it helps to kind of step back and see if you made it too dark in some places and erase. I tend to have a heavy hand with my shading, so I'll go back and lighten it up a little bit. And then my sphere is going to have a shaky, imperfect circle for its shadow. So I hope that's helped some. Give it some practice. And I hope that helps you with understanding how to shade and start to make your things look a little bit more realistic. Have a great day.